a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk on life. Our guest will share his life story. We want you to success in life. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk on life. We're gonna talk on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are gonna witness. Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast.
Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. Every episode is an invitation, a reminder that business and life isn't just about profit, it's about purpose. It's about showing up with a servant's heart in every deal and every decision, every day to make a powerful impact on others. Today's guest is going to light you up. You'll be motivated, you'll be challenged, and most importantly, you're going to walk away with tools that inspire action both in your life and the lives of others. Audience, here's your homework. How will you serve yourself and others today? Doesn't have to be a big impact. Even a small act of kindness or courage can change the game. So lean in, take notes. Shout out to my two sponsors, A Mind for All Seasons. Your brain is your greatest competitive edge, and it deserves to perform like one. Want to think faster, remember more, and stay focused longer? Just text the word OPTIMIZE to 72000. Optimize to 72000 and get instant access to Welcome 6 short to Doing business Business with Servants. each just I'm 3 your or 5 host, minutes Steve Ramona, that reveals every simple episode strategies is an invitation to to unlock remind you that business and life isn't just about because profit. when your brain is It's clear, about purpose. your business grows. It's about showing up an with epic a impact, servant's the heart in storytelling every deal, system every that helps decision, your message connect every and day convert. to make a powerful It's just 4 impact on steps. others. Engage. Today's persuade, guest is going to inspire, light you up, close with you'll clarity. be motivated. I use it every day for all my most messages. importantly, you're going to walk away with tools
Try
that
it
inspire
free
action
at
both in your
Epic
life
Impact
and the lives of
AI
others.
with code Steve.
Audience, here's your
Change
homework.
your
Messages. How will you serve
Change
yourself
your
and others
results.
today? Excited to announce Doing Business with Servant's Heart podcast was named Top 6
change the game
in small business
So lean
marketing.
in, take notes.
Thanks to all of
Shout out
you,
to my two sponsors,
my guest, A
and
Mind
my
for All
audience.
Seasons. You've
Your brain
impacted
is
so
your
many
greatest
people.
competitive
Let's continue
edge,
doing
and
it. It deserves to perform like one. Want to think faster, remember more, and stay focused longer? Just text the word OPTIMIZE to 72000. Optimize to 72000 and get instant access to 6 short, powerful videos, each just 3 to 5 minutes, that reveal simple strategies to unlock peak mental performance. Because when your brain is clear, your business grows. And Epic Impact, the storytelling system that helps your message connect and convert, it's just 4 steps. Engage, persuade, inspire, close with clarity. I use it every day for all my messages. Try it free at epicimpact.ai with code Steve. Change your messages, change your results. Excited to announce Doing Business with Servant's Heart podcast was named Top 6 in small business marketing. Thank you all of you, my guest and my audience. You've impacted so many people. Let's continue doing that. Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. I'm really excited today because I have a gentleman that's got the same name as me. So his name's Steve, obviously. But we've really connected. These are one of those things when you meet people, and you should meet people all the time because you never know. We met with another gentleman. Shout out to John Mitchell, a friend of ours now. I can truly call Steve a friend, but more so, he's a service heart. He cares about people, and he cares, and it brings value, which is so powerful in this day and age of business. So let's bring Steve on. Steve, welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a great name, Steve.
Amen to that. Our moms did good.
They sure did. Yeah, you're just talking about when we met in that meeting with John, and I think it's so important, like you said, to put yourself out there and just get yourself into these rooms with different elevated associations, because you never know who you're going to meet. And you're one of those people. As soon as I heard you start talking, I was like, "Oh, Steve and I got to get together for sure."
Well, and let's talk about that because you kind of go in the route I wanted to go. How is that going to help the listener who's got a business or is an entrepreneur to go to these rooms or meet new people?
Yeah, I mean, it's not, this isn't news, right? About elevating your associations. Everyone knows, but it's one of those things that you know, but are you doing it? Right? That's that's the challenge that we face with whatever piece of advice you hear, for whether it's growing your business or growing yourself, which people learn as one and the same over time. Um, they Everybody tells you to elevate your associations. There are Harvard studies about, you become like the five people you spend the most time with, etc. But this was one of those rooms led by our mutual friend John Mitchell, who has the company Think It Be It, and his teachings and his system that he taught us both has been obviously transformative for both of our lives. And it's in the room where we host a mastermind together called the 2% Mastermind. That's where you and I met. And rooms like that where you're getting together with not just like-minded people, but more importantly, like-hearted people who are all living and breathing servant leadership and trying to live their businesses with create their businesses with a servant's heart. That's when you really find those the diamonds that are otherwise like right beneath your feet, but you could totally miss.
Yeah. It's interesting. We're on a podcast and we're promoting somebody else. And by the way, John Mitchell has a book, The Missing Secret of Think and Grow Rich. So a lot of you listeners have either received the book from my recommendation or have heard about it. That's who we're talking about. But that's what we do, is serve. We take, because we know it brings value to people. It's brought value to us. Talk about a servant's heart. What in your mind is the definition of that?
Yeah, we were just talking about this a few minutes ago. Having a servant's heart. Let me actually start where I went wrong with this, because I think this is where many people are stuck. And I was stuck with this for my entire life until this last year, even. Service is one of my three core values, and I have integrity, service, and candor, and I have my own personal definitions for those. And for me, service, I hadn't taken the time before I met John, ironically. I had never actually taken the time to write down my personal definition of service. And so in my mind and how I was living, it was about selflessness, just being as selfless as possible, thinking of others as much as possible and thinking of myself as little as possible. And I mean, I grew up in a household where I think every single adult figure in my life had a love language of acts of service. And so it was just, that's how everybody expressed their love for each other. It was just give, 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 give. And everybody around me was just showing me and leading me to think that service to others meant not taking care of yourself. And I couldn't see it until recently, how much I was sacrificing myself in the process and how I was just burning myself out and missing all of these huge opportunities for my own growth along the path to trying to serve everyone else. And so now I'm going to rob or take a page out of Jim Rohn's book for my definition. And this is the best I've ever heard when it comes to service. And it's that I'll take care of me for you if you'll take care of you for me. And that's really what it's about. Taking care of yourself so that you can be of better service to others. And it's not selfish to take care of yourself first. Another mentor of ours, Darren Hardy, gave me this metaphor, so credit to him for this. He talks about how you have to put your oxygen mask on first so that you can be prepared to serve those around you, just like on the airplane, which you've heard a stewardess say 1,000 times. That's not selfish. If you really think about it, it's required. It's the required first step. What do you think about all that?
I love that, because that's what it is. Because you, as a servant's heart, you're not always saying yes, because then you're enabling people. I've talked about that. I've been on shows myself talking about you've got to let somebody go. If they're affecting your company, we'll get into your company, how you help with this. But a leader's got to say, hey, Joe Smith, you're just not a fit to this sales team. Let's say it's a sales guy. But here's the way to serve them. You tell them no, but you know what? I contacted a friend of mine. I think he'd be a great fit in his company. How much better is that when you let somebody go doing that, serving the let go? You're saying no to somebody, but with a servant's heart. And that's what I love that you're saying. Now, and by the way, thank you for your service. I don't know if I've ever told you that, but I realize you're in the Navy. Thank you for your service. Service is a big part of being in the military, isn't it? Did that help you to who you are today?
Yeah, the way that I landed in the military was very much like how I've landed in a business now where I'm serving other people. that was emulated for me. I had family members. My grandfather was a pilot in Korea, and I had other family members that were in the military. And so seeing that just gave me a great model of what it actually means to serve. And for anyone who's watching this, thank you all for your service as well. I mean, I was a submarine officer for 7 years, so I wasn't even getting shot at. But but there are no matter what branch of the military you're in, or no matter what billet you have, or whether you're sitting at a desk, or you're on a submarine, or if you're out in the field on the front lines, there is a level of selflessness that's required. But there's also, like I said before, knowing how to take care of yourself and to become the best. I mean, I was an officer, so you become the best leader I could be for them, whatever the circumstances are, whatever is required. I mean, the demands on you in business, the demands on you in the military, the demands on us all in life are all changing constantly, and we have to adapt to those. And so focusing on ourselves first to be better prepared for whatever life throws at us is probably the most important thing.
Yeah, well, and military, the humbleness of the leaders blows me away. I had a guest tell a story where a general made a mistake and let all his, not the people below him, I don't know the word, but whoever his team was, we'll call it that he made a mistake that could have killed 100 soldiers. And he told them that. 100 guy. I'm like, if the military can do that, why are we afraid to say we made a mistake? And he could have killed people. That's why I love the military. I say this all the time, Steve. May have told you, if I started a company with employees, half of them would be veterans because of all this that we're talking about. And by the way, submarine, that's probably worse than being shot at than my being in the water.
To each their own.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's talk about, and I want to get into your company, Just One Better, but that ties into trust. You're so good at it. I've talked to you multiple times. I've seen you in groups. You build trust so, I want to say fast, but that's all perspective. How does somebody listening build trust and build the right way?
Yeah. My business partner, Bobby, is the one who helped me to answer this question. I wouldn't have been as well prepared to answer this question 2 months ago, even. One of my words, actually, my word for the year, you're not gonna be able to see this. I have a sticky note on my desk. I have 2 sticky notes. I try to keep the rest of my desk clean. We talked about that. Keeping your desk clean, keeping your space clean, staying organized. And one of the sticky notes has one of my favorite quotes on it, probably my favorite. It's from a mentor of mine, Lon Stroshine, who has an online community. Anyway, he wrote a great book called The Trade, and meeting him was one of the first steps before I even met John on my current personal growth trajectory. He saw how much I was carrying by myself before I had all the epiphanies we just talked about service and how you got to take care of yourself too. And he said, "You know what, Steve?" He said, "You alone can do the work, but you don't have to do it alone." And it just, when he said that, we had started that coaching call that I had with him. I was asking him how I could make money doing XYZ thing, and I was struggling with, I really want to serve people, but I'm not comfortable with asking for money. What an ironic problem to have. We were just talking about that. And he's like, "Stop, that's not the problem." He's like, "You're trying to do it all alone. You're just standing over here on an island." Anyway, that's one of the sticky notes. Back to your question about trust. The other sticky note just has one word on it, and it just says worthy. And I think to your question, how can people build trust more easily or more rapidly? It's not about you. It's about focusing on becoming trustworthy for other people, on behalf of other people. And when you really do lead with other people's best interests and you focus on being present for them, you notice even how I just said that sentence. You focus yourself on being present for them. That type of mindset is what makes you trustworthy. Because people can feel, this is not something that you can communicate. There's no trick or tactic that you could apply to make somebody trust you more. In fact, if you do try something that's not natural to you, people are going to see right through it. That's the thing where most people go wrong with the stuff they're learning on YouTube, or they read in a book, they try and apply something that's not natural for them, and it's just people see right through it. So to your question, I think how to become more how to get people to trust you more easily. It's about becoming trustworthy in their eyes.
And trust is important, isn't it, in business?
Of course, yeah. I mean, the old adage, people do business with those that they know, like, and trust in that order.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
right?
It's
If
important.
they don't know you, right? If you think about the business of a life cycle or life cycle of a business or the life cycle of a relationship with somebody, at first they don't know you, then they do. Once they get to know you, they have to decide, do they like you or not? And if they like you, then they continue to move closer, they're coming closer and closer to your circle, so to speak. And the final barrier is, do they trust you? Because somebody can know you and like you, but if they don't trust you, there's plenty of people who I've met in my life. It's like, I know the guy, close friends of mine, know him, like him, wouldn't trust him to marry my daughter, for example. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
No, it's
And
great.
so that's that final barrier to really being able to help people is that trust barrier.
Brilliant answer. It's one of the best I've heard. 850 shows, talked to a lot of people about trust because it's such a mission thing right now. Everybody's got to pitch, news, negative, noise, all that. And it's crazy, which
Yeah.
leads to your business. I love what you're doing. Just one better. Talk about your mission for you and Bobby you're doing with your business.
Yeah. I'll start with a name, I think, because it really encapsulates the bigger picture that we're going after. When Bobby and I first got together to talk about what business we were going to make, I, in classic Steve fashion, showed up with a big checklist of all the different things we were going to get done that day. And we were going to come up with a name, and we are going to come up with a logo, we were going to come up with a domain, all these different things. And I got about 30 seconds into the call, and to his credit, Bobby helps keep me grounded. He's like, whoa, slow your roll, brother. Let's just talk about the big picture for a second here. And he went on to talk about his magnum opus, as he described it, which is to help make the world just 1% better at using all of the resources that we already have available to us, all the personal growth material that's already out there. I mean, we live in an age now where any answer to any question you could ever have, there are answers for free available at your fingertips within microseconds. And so the problem is not lack of information. It used to be. That's why we have all these universities that were charging buku money that I'm took in. I mean, the Navy helped to pay for my school, thank God. Otherwise, I'd still be in debt today. But when knowledge is not the barrier, it's application of the knowledge. That's the problem. That was really the beginning of our partnership and the mission that we were on, because we're like, what is going on here? There is a infinite. That's why it's in our logo. Okay, an infinite amount of information available, and yet people still struggle. Why is that? And so to get to the bottom of that, I mean, that's where we get with the name Just One Better, because we literally started looking for domains about just 1%, etc. And there's a whole separate story for another time about how we landed on Just One Better. But what we effectively endeavored to do for this past year is to understand why people are not able to or not utilizing what's available to them, why they know so much but don't do anything with it. And we started with ourselves because we were just as guilty. We're like, what's going on here? And then we realized, oh shoot, we should look in the mirror. We're the ones who have this exact same problem. And I'll use John as an example. I learned that system from John, his life GPS system, and then I used it for a little while, and then I stopped because it wasn't working for me. And I'm like, what is going on here? I have the keys to the kingdom sitting right here on my desk, and I'm not using it. What is going on? And so, long story short, we've taken this past year to try and reverse engineer what are the steps that are missing to take somebody from the knowing side of the gap to the doing side of the gap. And we just learned through countless conversations, what are people struggling with and what do they feel like they need, but they don't actually need? And what do they really need to do to just break inertia and actually achieve the goals that they set for themselves? And it all comes down to this 6-inch space between our ears, of course. But you know me, and we haven't talked about this really yet today, but I'm big on creating systems. If I find a gap, I try to create a system to solve it. And I've created a system for every little step along the way to take somebody from, hey, I know what to do and I'm just not doing it. It's like, okay, what's the first step? You just got to commit. You just got to commit. Bobby has this great shirt. It's from the Pan Mass Challenge, which is you ride a bike all the way across Massachusetts. It's a fundraiser for cancer. They've raised billions of dollars, I think, with this fundraiser. And they have this great shirt. It just says, commit. You'll figure it out. And I just saw early today, I was watching some of your other podcast episodes, and somebody else talked about this exact same topic. You don't have to have it all figured out to get started. That's what's got most people stuck. In fact, the more you add to the knowing side without doing, the more confusing and harder it becomes to start. It just all weighs you down. It's like if there was and you're in Northern California and I lived in Northern California for 4 years, so we both know traffic. It's like when there's an accident on the highway on 101 and it's blocking 5 of the 6 lanes of traffic. The only way for traffic to start flowing again, for your cash flow in your business start flowing, for your weight to start coming off again, for whatever it is, the conversations with your kids or your wife to start flowing again, to clear the constraint. If you add more upstream of the accident, upstream of the constraint, it's just going to make it worse. If you don't start taking action on like 1 or 2 little things at a time and slowly clearing out the accident, which is the action gap, you're just going to add more noise upstream and it's just going to make it worse.
Analysis by paralysis.
That's right.
Not totally what you do, but that's what came to my head as you're talking. Audience, you all know that phrase. And the indecision is the biggest killer of every business entrepreneur, is the indecision, not taking action. Because don't you agree, even if you take the wrong action, you can pivot?
Absolutely. I think, in fact, taking the wrong action is the path to the right action. You talked about before how you've racked up so many no's. You just got into the habit of asking. And for every entrepreneur who's experienced this, there's a fear at the beginning of the business about asking because you're afraid to get the no. There's a fear of taking, quote unquote, the wrong action. And there's a lot of what if this, what if that, and you catastrophize in your mind about all these potential negative outcomes. When in reality, it's just a molehill. Like you can step onto a molehill and then step back off of it again. It's okay.
Yeah.
But you can also use that inch you've gained to get you a new perspective on where to go next.
I'm loving this. This, again, audience, wrong action can lead to the right action. I absolutely love that. I've said this again. You're a genius. And maybe you borrow it, but it doesn't matter. That's what you live by. And that's so important. I love Just One Better. And we'll talk about how to get a hold of you in a minute. What are you excited about for the next year of 2026?
Oh, gosh. What I'm excited about most is that this past year I spent helping people, in an effort to try and figure out how I could better help more people in the future. And there was a lot of sporadic effort on my part to try and test what we were just talking about, putting myself out there, having different conversations. I'm going to try coaching. I'm going to try teaching. I'm going to try this. Did some workshops. We did a lot of different things, experimented a ton, and looked a lot in the mirror about why we weren't doing the things that we were telling other people to do, etc. And what I'm excited about most for 2026 is that now I feel like I have systematized it in a way that it can actually help people. Because when you think about the times that you've been helped, it's not because, I mean, people can help you in an ad hoc way, but the real value comes from the fact that they've taken the time and energy to organize it. And they cut through and they think about all of their own learnings and they just boil it down to just the essence, like just to help you really implement for yourself. That's the most helpful part. And now I feel like I'm there. And I also feel like for the first time, I believe that the impact is possible. This past year was an experiment, both in terms of figuring things out to help other people, but also figuring myself out and figuring out whether I really felt, again, worthy of the goals that I set for myself. Because I had originally had a sticky note here from a goal that I set last year. I'm sure nobody in your audience has ever done this before, where they set a financial goal, for example. I had put $1 million here. That's what I wanted to have. I had made $1 million income when I was in corporate America, and I wanted to have a repeat of that when I left corporate America. It's like, I've done it once, I could do it again. But when I look back, I mean, I didn't make a million this past year. In fact, I've paid myself very, very little this past year. And in reflecting on that, it's because I didn't actually believe that I was worthy of the money. Selling somebody else's services or products in corporate America is one thing, but when all you have to sell is yourself, it's something completely different. And so the combination of creating the systems to actually help people and organizing them into programs, plus the fact that I actually believe in myself and my ability to deliver and the impact that I could have, just based on evidence of people's responses as I've reached out and tried to help them. Imperfect impact is still impact. People get hung up on having to have everything perfect all the time, but I was underestimating and undervaluing the impact that I was having this past year as I was running imperfect experiments all the time. I'm over here focusing on all the little mistakes that I made or what I could have done better, which is good if it's propelling you in the right direction. But if you're using it for, bringing yourself down, now I feel, even just within the last month or two, more prepared than ever because I actually believe that that $1 million goal is possible. I feel worthy of it.
I'm excited for you. I'm fired
Thank
up
you.
right now. And it's what you just said, the audience, you need to listen to corporate America. When you go on your own, you're selling yourself now. You're not selling somebody else. Even if you're an admin, a secretary, HR person, you're still selling something else. You're selling yourself a little bit, as that person. But the ultimate window is the corporate that you work for. Now it's just one better, Steve and Bobby. Steve and Bobby.
Yeah.
That's it right now. You might have a team later, but and that's audience. If you get that, that's $1 million tip to go from corporate, because I was going to ask you that. And by our alignment, you just answered it before I could ask, which is great. We've come to the end here. We went over time, but this is perfect. I'm glad we did because you're just brilliant. Let's do a fun improv.
Okay, let's do it.
So me and you are going to go out to dinner. I'm going to reserve a table for you, for us. I want you to invite 3 people who've been influential in your life, whether dead or alive. But I think more importantly, since I'm sitting at the table, what food would you order?
So who would I invite and what would I order?
Correct.
I love that question. You and I probably haven't talked about this, so it's just another example of how cosmically aligned we are. You may not be able to tell, but I'm standing right now. I have a treadmill here. I'm not walking on it. I didn't want to distract your viewers here. But I took my office chair and I was tempted to take it out of my office, but actually I decided to leave it. There's a tradition in the military that whenever you have a formal dining out meal, you leave an empty chair as a reminder to yourself about all the people who have died and could not be there with you. And I keep this chair in my office as a reminder of all those people and all of the people, like you just said, who have impacted me, dead or alive, who are not here with me physically, but they are here with me. And every meeting that Bobby and I have with people, we have an opening ritual, if you will, that we bring up who are we inviting into the conversation before it even begins. Kind of a practical application, if you will, of Napoleon Hill's mastermind principle from Think and Grow Rich, since we were talking about that. And it only takes a minute or two, but it completely changes the conversation because now you find yourself imagining what would they think? What would they say if they were here? What guidance would they give me? And it just primes your subconscious mind to think about it in a different way. And it changes the whole conversation because then in the conversation, you're like, oh, Jim Rohn would say, or, John Mitchell would say.
Ziegler or John Mitchell.
Yeah, exactly. So the 3 people I suppose that I would invite if we were going to go out to dinner, the biggest impacts on me, one would have to be John. I mean, we were just talking about how we got to get together with John, so he's going to be there for sure. And in homage to our shared mentor for all 3 of us, Napoleon Hill would have to be there. I mean, I got to imagine he was eccentric for his time, but the timelessness of his messages and that, Think and Grow Rich might have been his bestseller, but some of his other books are also phenomenal, like Outwitting the Devil, for example.
Fantastic.
Talk about battling your inner demons. Absolutely phenomenal book. And then Jim Rohn would be number 3 for me. The impact that those 3 gentlemen have had, and they're just the top of a long, long, long list. But yeah, Jim Rohn's impact on me personally, all of them dented the trajectory of my life in ways that I can't even possibly express.
Oh,
as
I've
to
asked
what I
that
would
question
order.
so many, man. I've asked that question. Sorry to interrupt, but I asked that
Oh, no,
question
no.
400 times. I'm emotional right now because that empty chair, nobody's ever said, and not wrong with the other 400 answers, but thank you. It just gave me a different perspective. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's right there. I mean, I can't turn my camera so you could see it, but it's a visual daily reminder. I think about it constantly, constantly. Um,
That's great.
to the question about what I would order, at John, we keep talking about John here. At John's house, I went and visited him last fall, and I saw in his kitchen on the wall there was a little sign that it just had a quote on it. It was about this big, and it said, "If you don't take care of your body, where will you live?" And I took a picture of that and I sent it to Bobby because he and I were both, we had made health goals for ourselves. And, the Life GPS template, aside from helping me to get this business off the ground, has also helped me to lose weight and start being healthy and helped me to get this treadmill that I'm standing and not walking on, but I walk on it plenty. um, but that quote, I then created I created a framed version of that for myself that I put in my pantry as a reminder. And I gave one to Bobby as well for him in his pantry. And so there are a lot of different things you could order. And in the old version of me, when we would go out to dinner, I would think things like, I don't go out to dinner that often. I'm gonna get a treat. I'm gonna get a burger. I'm gonna get a ribeye, etc. We would only go out to eat every once in a while, especially growing up. I mean, Red Lobster was fancy. Olive Garden was
Treat.
we went to Olive Garden once a year on a special occasion. And so if I was going, I was going to get something awesome. I was going to get dessert too. Um, Now I view food so differently. When you think about it from the perspective of you only get one of these. And I don't know who the originator of this quote is off the top of my head, but I'm sure it's been repeated countless times. But the adage goes, a person with their health can have a million goals, but a person without their health has but one.
Hmm.
And so I focus on trying to get upstream of that, proactive with that. I've been very blessed in my life. I haven't had any major health issues aside from appendicitis. This is a very long-winded answer to your question. I would probably order salmon. I love salmon and a salad. And I never used to get that. And I never used to be a big fish person. I grew up in Buffalo, New York. You can't get good fish in Buffalo, New York. Um, but now that's what I order. And I would
Beautiful.
love to know who you would invite and what you would order.
Well, it's cheating. It's going to be our cheat day, steak and potatoes, but it'd be Jesus. It would be my dad, and it would be my cousin. I answer this differently all the time. My dad, and my cousin mentored me on business and supported me forever. My cousin Jeff started my service. I was 18 years old working at a health club. I learned all about service through him. And shout out to Jeff Ramon and my dad, who's in heaven. Shout out to them, and of course Jesus for me for my faith, and steak and potatoes. So we would enjoy there, and you enjoy with us. We're gonna do this table. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna do your table eventually, but we'll miss a few of those people. So
Yeah.
Napoleon won't be there, but in spirit. Thank you again. How can people get a hold of you? Because I know people want to reach out and talk to you.
Yeah. So you can get me at steve@justonebetter.com. And actually, coming on this podcast helped motivate me, and it gave me a deadline to get our latest revision of our website done and dusted. And nothing like a good deadline to to inspire you. So justonebetter.com. You can go on there. That's got our one of our new offers live as of about 2 hours ago. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of that website, you'll find there's a link to join our free online community. There you can have live conversations like this all the time. Bobby and I do weekly dialogues where we have everybody in the community come together, and we call them mindset meetups. And people just come together, talk about what's holding them back, what they need to get to the next level, whether it's their business or their marriage, relationship with their kids, etc. We have different meetings for different topics. That community also will give you access to all recording library of all of our past workshops and all the free resources that I've developed over the last year, all those imperfect iterations that I felt were imperfect, but are helping people anyway. They're all available in there. And most importantly, the systems that I've developed for each of those different steps, the templates are available in there. I believe very much in, this is something I learned from Alex Hormozy. He says, just you give away your secrets and then you can sell the implementation for those who need help. And you can see that in all of his books. He's got a whole great series. You just give away enough that people, and it's good enough material that people could, if they wanted to, do it all themselves. But like this quote on my desk, you can do the work alone, but you don't have to do it alone. So that's what we're here for. So that's how you get
Yeah, this is great. So reach out to him, and here's your gift. The first 2 people that reach out to Steve and mention this podcast he was on, I'm going to send you the book, The Missing Secret of Think and Grow Rich. First
That's
2 people. So if you listen all the way through, which I hope you did, because I've got a whole pad of notes that it's helped me. I'm sure it's helped you. And share this podcast out. Subscribe and share. Give this gift to everybody. With that being said, thank you all. Me and Steve want to thank you all for watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, Steve.